The battle you're meant to fight is upon us. There's no one on this planet that can stop me.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is my Black Adam review. They're finally letting us talk about the movie. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's a lot we have to talk about, a lot that just happened with DC movies in general going forward because of what they did in this movie. And because I'm posting this a couple days before the movie comes out everywhere, I'll try to keep this as non-spoilery as possible. But there's a bunch of big stuff that they set up in this movie, so it's really good news if you're a fan of DC movies. My full post-credit scene video, full breakdown, Easter eggs for the entire movie, all that stuff we'll start posting later this week after it does come out in theaters. So if you do have a chance to see the movie early, please don't post spoilers on this video. But the movie's basically an origin story for The Rock's Black Adam in the DCEU. All the trailers are fairly accurate to the actual vibe of the movie. Sometimes you get trailers that are very misleading. Most of the trailers for this movie have been pretty accurate. It's probably one of the most hardcore DC movies that you'll see in a while since the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie, which was rated R. Black Adam was rated R for most of its life until they edited it down to PG-13. They just crossed the line over PG-13, probably mostly for violence and swearing. And if there was a question, this movie is inside the DCEU. With all the things going on lately, all the drama behind the scenes, you could even say the movie kind of saved the DCEU, and that is because of The Rock. So even if you're not a huge fan of The Rock's movies just in general, give credit where credit is due. He deserves all the props he gets after this movie comes out. Even people who aren't really huge fans of his will appreciate what he did behind the scenes to make some really big DCEU things happen behind the scenes for this. Overall, the plot of the movie is a pretty simple setup. It's an anti-hero movie with The Rock doing his usual thing. One of the big things with him is that you kind of know what you're getting when you go to see a movie with The Rock in it. It is a Rock movie inside the DCEU. He has a very specific range, very specific type of character that he plays. Yes, there is some comedy in the movie, they do have jokes, but it's mostly coming from other characters around Black Adam reacting to all the crazy WTF stuff he does. You've seen all the trailers where he references being the most powerful character on this planet, wink behind the camera. That's obviously a Superman reference, by the way, this planet, because Superman is from Krypton. It's why they've been releasing all those Black Adam Justice League trailers with that scene in it. I am the most powerful character on this planet. We know exactly what you're talking about. It's basically Black Adam in character saying that nothing on this planet can stop him, including the Justice League characters. He's not afraid of anything, he thinks of himself as a god, and he thinks that he's completely untouchable, unkillable. So if you have a character like that who just thinks they're completely invincible, most of the problems that he experiences in the movie are more emotional, more mental problems, less than physical. There are a lot of physical fights. Obviously, there's a big villain that he has to face and punch the crap out of. There are a few moments where you feel like he may have found his physical equal, but he's still able to triumph in the movie. This is a Rock movie. There aren't going to be a lot of Rock movies where he winds up failing hardcore during the film. And because they want the character to be the de facto anti-hero of the DCEU, on the entire planet, talking about all the characters in the DCEU, he could help you one day just as much as he could also be fighting you the next day. The main villain of the movie is meant to be someone who's even worse than him so that he does feel like he could potentially be a hero if he wanted to. That's Sabbac, who's a demon from the Shazam comics. We're talking about shared history with the Shazam character. Don't worry, I'll address that too, because obviously this is just about Black Adam. There aren't really any big Shazam characters in the film other than the backstory with the wizard. The Sabbac character works pretty similarly to the way that the Shazam and the Black Adam characters work, just in terms of their powers. Shazam and Black Adam are granted the power of different gods. Their names stand for acronyms of all the gods that they get their powers from. Sabbac can do the same thing, grant people his power. He's like the gods that grant them their power. But in this movie, he himself is unleashed on the world, plans to conquer it, which is where the Black Adam character comes in. An unstoppable force meets an immovable object. You can decide which one the Black Adam character is in that scenario. Is he the unstoppable force or is he the immovable object? And even though they want the Sabbac character to feel like he's a threat to Black Adam, so much of the movie is him just walking over everyone else in funny WTF ways. You see him just punting people across the country like it's no big deal, in a way that makes him feel a little bit like that evil Superman from the Justice League Snyder Cut. What would Superman be like if he didn't hold back? And just talking in terms of power levels, the way they establish Black Adam, he is meant to be about as powerful as Superman. But like I said, it's all about the attitude and his drive and what he wants to do with that power. Whereas a character like Superman is meant to be this benevolent godlike figure trying to protect everyone on planet Earth, Black Adam is a character that really only cares about his country, Kahndaq, and himself. So like I said, one of the big aspects of the movie is dealing with the mental, the emotional problems that he has, getting used to actually dealing with other people and relying on other people, like the Justice Society, the other big group that they're introducing in the movie. Like Black Adam accepting that he's not strong enough to do everything by himself. They kind of use the Sarah Shahi, Adriana Tomaz character from the comics and her son in the movie to humanize him a little and soften him up and get him used to this concept. Like, it's okay to rely on other people. Everyone isn't always going to hurt you emotionally. Bad things won't happen if you rely on other people. Working on teams can be good. In the movie, they serve as proxies for his dead wife and son, and we learn that their deaths are what made him break bad 5,000 years ago, made him such a hardcore person. If you've read the comics, a lot of this is from the comics, but it's not like a carbon copy of exactly the way it happened in the comics. We got a little of his backstory during the first Shazam movie when the Wizard told Billy about the person that they wrongly chose to grant their power to, but they only give you a small piece of the story during that. The Black Adam movie is meant to give you the rest of that context, so that it reframes a lot of those events and makes Black Adam seem like less of a villain in that situation. Like the Seven Deadly Sins were the ones who really orchestrated all those events, pulled his strings, took advantage of Black Adam, and they were the ones that killed the other wizards. A much younger version of the Wizard then fought and trapped Black Adam in a magical prison for 5,000 years, and originally you may have heard that they were going to do The Rock's Black Adam during the first Shazam movie, like they had other plans for introducing him in the DCEU. The plot of the first Shazam movie was originally going to be more closely based on the New 52 version of the Shazam origin story, and Black Adam is a big part of that. The full comic book version of the story basically swaps out some of the movie Dr. Savannah plot from that first Shazam movie for Black Adam. Because The Rock had so much influence and control over the Black Adam character, they basically said that they were going to separate the Shazam and Black Adam origin stories so they could devote more time to each one of them, and then eventually work up to a crossover between the characters. So they just deleted all the Black Adam plot from the Shazam movie and decided to do that as a totally separate solo movie and added a little bit more from his comics, other comics, and new stuff like the Justice Society stuff and the Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller stuff. So if you've read any of the Black Adam comics, any of the Justice League comics where he crossed over, it's not a one-to-one copy of those plots, but the vibe is very similar. A lot of the movie is meant to help it fit in the continuity of the DCEU based on everything that's happened so far. I'll explain the timeline in a second too. All the Justice Society characters were fun. Pierce Brosnan, probably my favorite. He stole a lot of his scenes as Dr. Fate. Really happy to see Dr. Fate inside the DCEU finally. He's super powerful. Yes, there have been talks about doing spin-offs, HBO shows for the different Justice Society characters, like they probably will do a Justice Society movie at some point. A lot of the character scenes in the movie do serve as jumping-off points for potential sequels or spin-offs. Like you get some of Dr. Fate and Hawkman's backstory, but only a little, like just enough to leave stuff for like a spin-off or a sequel. They hint at a lot of things, they imply a lot of things about their backstory, but never give you like the full backstory. The new Justice Society team during the movie is basically what you see in all the trailers, like Dr. Fate and Hawkman are the remnants of an older Justice Society team which existed in the DCU long before the Justice League formed, before Superman came to planet Earth. Something happened to that original Justice Society team, and they only briefly touch on that. There's a lot of history for them to explore with that in future sequels. The movie does reference the Justice League characters specifically through a lot of the other characters in really funny ways, just like as pop culture icons inside the DCEU. Like if we were living on a planet where the Justice League existed, they'd be like the most popular people ever. There'd be merch for Justice League characters all over the place. The brand new characters on the team, as you've seen in the trailers, are Atom Smasher and Cyclone. They were pretty decent. They used them as the fresh off the boat, fish out of water characters on the team, like Spider-Man trying to work with Iron Man and the Avengers during that first Captain America Civil War movie. Like they do have some skills, but they're not used to working on a team in the same way. Just to place the Black Adam movie in the DCEU timeline, the present day of the movie is meant to take place after the Justice League Snyder Cut, after the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie, but before the events of Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods. I know there'll be all kinds of questions about how they address the Shazam characters specifically during the movie because of the Black Adam Shazam shared history with the Wizard. They only briefly touch on the Shazam related stuff, leaving full-blown Shazam versus Black Adam crossover for the sequel movies. The Rock has been pretty open about that, like, oh yeah, our plan is to eventually cross all these characters over. Fans of the DCEU, just in general, like DC movies in general, will probably be more interested in what the movie sets up. Like, how do they recenter the DCEU? Like, what is their plan going forward now? Because very clearly they wanted to establish The Rock's Black Adam as the new center of power around which everything else in the DCEU turns. He keeps saying that phrase in all the trailers. Like for the past couple years, The Rock has been releasing promos for the movie, saying the hierarchy of power in the DCEU is about to change. Once you watch the movie and you understand what he means by that, the path forward for the DCEU will be much clearer. Like, oh, this is what they plan on doing with all these characters now. And obviously The Rock is now the center of a lot of those plans. I've talked about this in my previous trailer videos too, talking about like what their plans are for the next Justice League movie. They do have plans for another Justice League movie. Very different from what Zack Snyder had planned for his Justice League 2. I've also done a full breakdown of what Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 were going to be, so I'll put a link for that in the description below. And I know there's all this multiverse stuff that they have planned with the Flash movie, but the Black Adam movie seems like it's going to be the guiding star of the DCEU, just in terms of which movie has more influence on the future direction of the DCEU. So when I say The Rock kind of saved the DCEU, it's no joke. Like, there's a lot of crazy behind-the-scenes stuff happening, but The Rock has been powerful enough to control the direction of his movies and get the characters that he wants in his movies that has basically helped them recenter their path going forward. Like, their whole idea is that they want everything to be connected, and there's only a few exceptions to that. Like, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie is meant to take place in a different universe, and Matt Reeves said that he wants his Batman movies with Robert Pattinson to take place in a different universe. But aside from that, everything is supposed to be connected crossover so that they can build up a larger connected universe with bigger crossover movies and their own version of an Avengers Secret Wars. For the DCEU, that's kind of like Crisis on Infinite Earths. The Black Adam movie just helps set that up in a much clearer way than I think that the Flash movie was going to do, given all the behind-the-scenes stuff that's been happening. The Black Adam post-credit scene makes a lot of their path forward a lot clearer. If you do have a chance to see the movie early, please don't post spoilers for that in this video. I'll do a much bigger video for the post-credit scene later this week after the movie actually comes out. I just did a trailer video last week which basically explains what's going on, so you can also watch that too. I'll add a link for that at the end of this video. You've also probably seen the past couple days the news about Warner Brothers officially developing Man of Steel 2. You can thank The Rock for being the one to make that happen. So like I said, even if you're not like the biggest fan ever of The Rock, if you're just a core DC fan, you will at least appreciate what they do with the DCEU in this movie. And like I said, overall, it's a very Rock type of movie. You know what you're getting when you go into it. The trailer's all pretty accurate to the vibe of the movie. And on a technical level, it's just like a very competent action-adventure flick. It's a fun watch, but like I said, if you've seen any of The Rock's other movies, imagine one of those inside the DCEU. There'll be 1,000 questions about everything after the movie comes out, so post your questions in the comments below, and I'll try to address those during my full Easter egg breakdown videos later this week. Everyone click here for that new Black Adam Justice League video that I just mentioned, and click here for my House of the Dragon Episode 10 finale video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.